is teaching your baby something you never intended. In the next 10 minutes, I'm going to show you the 5 feeding patterns that secretly undermine growth, and exactly what to do instead. You're doing everything right, following every guideline, measuring every ounce. So why does feeding still feel like a battle you're losing? Here's what nobody tells you. Growth problems rarely start with the food itself. They start with the conversation. See, every feeding is a dialogue between you and your baby's nervous system, their hunger signals, their fullness cues, their readiness for something new. And when that conversation gets interrupted, even by good intentions, growth stalls. Not because they're not eating enough, but because the way they're eating is disconnecting them from their own body. And that's what these 5 mistakes all have in common. They silence that conversation. Because most parents measure feeding in ounces and percentiles, but your baby's fullness signals. Here's the scene. Your baby stops mid-bottle, turns their head. You think, just 2 more ounces. The pediatrician said 6 ounces. So you coax, you distract, you jiggle the bottle, and they take it. Because they trust you more than they trust themselves. Now, here's what's happening beneath that moment. Developmental neuroscience shows that babies are born with something called interoception. It's their internal GPS. And in these first months, they're learning a crucial lesson. Do I trust these signals, or do I ignore them? Every time you push past their no, you're teaching their nervous system, don't trust yourself. Trust me, that's not feeding, that's training. And it's the opposite of what you want. This pattern shows up consistently in feeding observations. In one documented case, a baby would cry after every feeding, not from hunger, but from uncomfortable fullness. The parent was so focused on hitting ounces that the communication was entirely missed. When the approach shifted to pausing at the first refusal, offering once more, then respecting the no, those post-feeding cries stopped within 3 days. Here's how to shift this pattern. Pause when they turn away. Offer once, gently. If they still refuse, trust that they're done. You're not starving them. You're teaching them to listen to their body. Mistake number 2, focusing on numbers, not nurture. You track ounces, grams, growth percentiles, everything, but eye contact. I'm not saying measurements don't matter, but feeding isn't a math problem. And studies on parent-infant feeding dynamics show something striking. Research on stress and digestion reveals that when feeding becomes about hitting a null, your stress hormone actually interferes with their digestion and nutrient absorption. But when you slow down, make eye contact, respond to their pace, oxytocin releases. Their nervous system relaxes. And ironically, they often take in more when you're focused less on the amount. This is how you shift this. Before each feeding, take 3 seconds to reset. Put the phone across the room. Not just face down, across the room. During the feed, watch their face. Notice. Are they sucking rhythmically while breathing calmly through their nose? Or are they pulling off the bottle to gasp for air? These aren't just cute observations. They're data about their state. A common example of this shift. One parent had been obsessed with her son finishing every bottle. 5 ounces minimum, no exceptions. When she finally sat down, made eye contact, and started following his rhythm instead of imposing one, he started eating better. Not because he was hungrier, because his nervous system wasn't flooded with her anxiety anymore. Within 2 weeks, he'd actually increased his average intake. The numbers followed when connection came first. Mistake number 3, rushing the transition to solids. Your baby hits 6 months. You see it on every milestone chart. So, you grab the rice cereal and dive in. Babies have a built-in safety mechanism called the tongue thrust reflex. When something solid touches their tongue, it automatically pushes it out. It's designed to prevent choking. Think of it like learning to drive. You can sit in the driver's seat at 16, but if your depth perception and reaction time aren't developed yet, you're not really ready, even if the law says you are. Same with solids. The reflex doesn't disappear on a schedule. It fades gradually as their oral motor skills mature. When you introduce purees before they're showing true readiness signs, watch what happens. Their tongue thrusts forward, almost reflexively. Food slides right back out, untouched. Because their oral motor system isn't signaling food, it's signaling foreign object. Watch for these 4 signs together. Sitting without support, opening their mouth when food approaches, good head control, and genuine interest in what you're eating. Not just one, all 4. And here's the part parents miss. Give their system 3-timer race. Every baby's developmental timeline is unique, and starting when they're truly ready means fewer mealtime battles later. Mistake. Number 4, feeding for comfort instead of hunger. Baby cries. You instantly reach for the bottle. I'm not judging this, it works. They quiet down. But here's the problem. Not every cry is hunger. Sometimes it's fatigue, overstimulation, just the need to be held. And when we respond to every upset with food, we teach babies that emotional discomfort equals hunger. We blur the lines between physical need and emotional need. This matters because appetite regulation, knowing when you're truly hungry versus eating for other reasons, is a skill that starts forming right now. Try this simple test. Before reaching for the bottle, hold your baby close and try comfort first for 60 seconds. Rock them. Offer your pinky to suck. Talk gently. Now watch. If it's true hunger, they'll escalate. They'll get more agitated, not less. They'll root against you. Suck urgently on your finger. Their cry will intensify. But if they calm down, even partially, that wasn't hunger. That was a need for regulation you just met perfectly, without teaching them to eat their feelings. This test reveals patterns quickly. In one case, a parent discovered their son's 8 p.m. cry wasn't hunger. It was sensory overload from the day. When they dimmed lights and swayed instead of fed, he started sleeping longer stretches because he wasn't going to bed uncomfortably full. You're still meeting their needs. You're just doing it more accurately. Mistake number 5, staying in the safe food comfort zone. Plain rice cereal, mashed banana, oatmeal. The rotation your baby accepts without fuss. I completely understand why. Mealtimes are already a battle. Why make it harder? But here's what studies on infant taste development demonstrate. Between 6 and 12 months, there's a critical window, the taste acceptance window, when babies' brains are wired to encode new flavors as safe. Miss this window, and you're fighting biology later. Now, acceptance doesn't mean enjoyment. They can grimace, spit it out, push it away. That's normal exploration. What matters is exposure. 10 to 15 repeated exposures before their brain files it as familiar. And an exposure can be as simple. Here's your action plan. Rotate one new flavor every 3 to 5 days, even if they only take a taste. Keep your face neutral, no cheering, no disappointment.